Hi, I've come back to making album reviews because apparently it's something I'm good at. Now, before someone complains that I'm saying something that is inaccurate, I don't do research for these reviews because I want to keep it authentic. So then my opinion isn't just going with what I've researched, because that would be just what other people have said, right? Like, I'd at least familiarize myself with the artist, but I don't want to go out my way and just look up every single meaning of every single line of every single lyric. Now, from what I understand, it did take him a very long time to actually get this album out. It took him like 4 years to even release anything at all. It's a much more personal approach to making music than his previous album, Worlds, because that was pretty much just a made up universe. But this one, I think, would connect to people on a deeper level because it's so real and raw. And the music and lyrics really reflect that journey. Oh wait, he did do a few songs under the name Virtual Self as a way to depart from his usual sound. But he strictly refused to play between the two names, only one at a time. They're completely separate universes, or I guess worlds. But then under Virtual Self he only did release 6 songs, so not much. The release date between his 2 full-length albums are 7 years apart. Porter did state himself that he went through bouts of depression, which would have made it a lot harder to get himself to make something that he was actually proud of. So it's not that he took a long break, it's just the process was a lot slower than usual. I can really relate to the struggle because I do try to make music myself, and not just music, but just content in general to entertain people. It just feels horrible when you work on something for like 10 hours and then nobody appreciates it in the end. If you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on another album that you liked, do let me know. A nice way to start the album with this beautiful intro. This one really gives me the feels, man. There's not even that much to say other than it just feels like you're entering his world, and it transitions really nicely into the next song, which is Look at the sky still here. There's something really nostalgic about Porter Robinson's music, and it tends to come from a very sad and dark place, but it's with an optimistic take on it. This song specifically makes me feel very hopeful about the future, but it's like, it makes me remember the sad times. It also makes me wonder where I will be in the next few years. It does seem like he's slowly moving away from just electronic dance music. It's more of a genre blend between this electronic synth and this really relaxing piano. This one's interesting because it's a very mellow, relaxed tune to an existential crisis. It sounds as if he's tried to help someone and wondered if they are actually in a better place than before. Are they fulfilled? I don't know. Will they ever be fulfilled? I like how there's this sort of elevator music playing on the less climax parts. Oh, that sounds really weird. Climax parts. With this one, I just imagine me walking through a very quiet place. A field, perhaps, just taking in my surroundings. Maybe there's a few trees, some chirping birds. Maybe no birds. Maybe no animals or people whatsoever. Some people don't like people, you know? This song specifically reminds me of Quedeca's From Me to You, which he recently released. And it's freaking beautiful, by the way. I think at this point, Porter is just trying to stay relaxed in a world of chaos, which is pretty hard to do, I will admit. You can really hear this with the mixture of calm instruments and the really distorted sounds throughout the entire track. Here is the part that highlights his internal conflict. It begs the question as to whether he should keep doing what he's doing. Is it a waste of time? Is it worth it? I really like the title of this one because it appeals to other musicians trying to do the same thing. And that relatability means they will listen to it whenever they feel alone on their journey. I also really like how he samples unreleased songs and mixes them into something completely different. I really want to try that at some point. Why are you out of focus?
Why are you out?
The overall message of this one seems like there's so much going on in his head, but he just wants to vibe, you know? And that's okay. This is great because it means you can vibe along with his vibing of. That makes no sense. This takes the perspective of a parental figure, and it really reminds you of what it's like to be a child and have that comfort and not worry about the future all the time. It's that voice that says it's going to be okay. And we forget that sometimes. It is going to be okay. I have songs that give a similar feeling, just so you know. Everything Matters, that's a whole album, 16 tracks. You can stream it on Spotify right now, or even here on YouTube. It's your choice. The The beginning of this song sounds like he's trying to figure things out for himself, and it's like you're on that journey with him. And the way this is represented is how the song sounds incomplete, like it's trying to figure out how it's going to sound. We're all trying to figure things out as we go along, and that's just how life works. You're not going to plan your entire life and have it go exactly according to plan. About halfway through it, it sounds like he's finally gotten to some kind of clarity, and everything's a little bit more harmonious. So everything's slowly starting to make sense. I think the point of this is to make you feel more involved on his personal journey of growth. And it's almost as if you're growing with him. Whoa! Remember the Mother song? Well, this kind of links to that. When we're a lot younger, we're not really that concerned about the future, as if everything is just gonna somehow fall into place. As scary as everything can be right now, we still have to keep moving towards whatever we're trying to achieve, or we're just not gonna feel any sort of satisfaction. Even more than that, you probably want to do a lot more than you even have time for. So for me, this song is about appreciating the time you have. If it was forever, it would seem kind of meaningless. He's looking in the mirror and he's going through a lot of internal conflict. One is the voice of criticism, which kind of seems reasonable, and the other is hope, which also seems reasonable. Vsauce uploaded a video about the future of reasoning, and the idea is that reasoning isn't necessarily objectively true, it's kind of just true to your situation. Reasoning is a social thing we use to get other people to understand and help each other get to a common goal. But in theory, if you talk for long enough, you could justify just about anything. So when you're really excited for something, like everything is gonna go well, in some cases, maybe that seems reasonable, depending on your mood. But there are other times where you're just really depressed and it just feels like nothing's gonna work and it's just gonna be a waste of time. A lot of terrible things people tell us as we're growing up or just throughout our life will stick with us forever. And that's even worse if it's just yourself telling you things. It's all in your head. And this is completely from fear. You know that there's a possibility that things are gonna go wrong, so you tell yourself that. But you also know that there is a possibility of everything going so well. If you live in your fear, you're just not going to take action to get rid of the fear in the first place. And you gotta realize you learn a lot more from things going badly. You're not going to learn anything if everything is perfect. So I think it's worth it. You're just going to have to trust me. Or trust yourself. Tell yourself that. Because it could be true. This one plays with the two voices you just heard and merges them into one character. There's a sort of relationship between them now. The first time I heard this song, I was kind of in a low point in life, just emotionally. And things weren't really that great around me either. But it just takes a song like this to kind of help people just get by in those situations. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you something comforting. It's interesting how EDM this one sounds, even though it's not particularly happy music. I can picture someone just completely jamming out, but it's actually just an existential crisis. I mean, the entire album kind of is an existential crisis, to be honest. But it means it's a really deep message with a lot of high energy if you just want to relax to music, you know? Why is it out of focus again? I close my eyes for one time. I love the way the album is sequenced because this actually belongs in this part of the album. It feels like things are slowly resolving, like it's coming to an ending. Which means this album wouldn't be the same without this song. It's crucial for it to be here, for the sake of storytelling. And now those two voices are a duet. They are just harmonizing with each other. They seem to kind of belong to each other, and that's really sweet to listen to. And it has a very dreamy feel. It just feels like it's going to be okay. I love how it turns into something epic and like with a lot of intense feeling. It feels like an ending to a movie. Despite all the changes, life doesn't seem so bad anymore. Like this actually feels like a reflection of the past and how everything has kind of come together. And he could have just ended it here, but then he threw us into the next track, which is... It kind of goes really smoothly with the previous track, just giving it more closure. Like, without this one, it would have worked just fine, but he took it a step further. It's been difficult for Porter to be satisfied, but that's okay. I think how people's lives work is that they are dissatisfied with something, they know that this is going to make them satisfied, then they get there, then they're no longer satisfied again. So then they want to get even more. And this is kind of where you'd have to reevaluate your values. This dissatisfaction is really good for creating inventions and new ideas and bouncing ideas off each other. Especially that competition, you know? It means there'll always be the best quality content at the top, and you have to go through all that work to get there. That way you learn more. But worrying about the big picture isn't really going to make it that much easier. Of course, you can have that in mind, but it's going to get overwhelming if you realize this is everything you got to do. Now do those correctly, don't mess it up, or you're fucked. It's probably better to just live for the moments rather than living for the end product. Because there isn't really an ultimate end product. It's just this perpetual growth that never really stops. And this song specifically is about trying to feel alive over and over again. That's why Porter decides to make a new song. He wants to feel alive. And for different people, that's different things that make them feel alive. Just whatever piques your interest. It just makes you feel so connected with the world. Overall, it seems like he put in a lot of hard work into this, and damn, a lot of time. And I'm glad he eventually managed to pull through with this album. It takes a lot of dedication to actually bring your ideas to life. Otherwise, it's just going to be ideas in your head and you never get to share them with other people. For musicians, every song is made for the moment that it's dedicated to. And then eventually you end up with this massive collection of songs that you can sequence in such a way that it tells a story. And I think that's quite beautiful. If you want to talk about Porter Robinson or anything music related, you can go to my Discord server, link in the description below. We could also talk about other things. How did you manage to get 1,000 subscribers, Fez? That seems like impossible. I'm still at 5. Well, we can talk about that, and also I'll eventually make a video about it, so you might as well subscribe. Until then, bye.